Imagine spending 5 years studying wine, becoming a top WSET diploma graduate, and still feeling insecure about your ability to discern, for example, red fruits aroma from each other. I know it hurts. It hurts your feelings and your pride, but it's normal. Nobody teaches you how to do that during your wine studies. They just assume you know how to handle your five senses to describe wine perceptions. And you may end up like my student Diego. When we first met, he said, well, you know, Isabelle, I'm no better taster than when I started the diploma and all the studies. So today, I'm going to show you that you don't need to become a sommelier or a wine scholar to know how to describe wine with precision and confidence. You just need to learn to taste wine like a sensory scientist so you can become the discerning wine tasters you aspire to be. Hi, I'm Isabelle Lesschaeve, an experienced sensory scientist turned tasting coach to help wine enthusiasts like you trust your senses to appreciate wine. At InnoVinum Academy, I've trained hundreds of wine students to become more confident in their wine descriptions by following a structured sensory training plan. In this video, I will share what are the main advantages to learn how to taste wine like a sensory scientist, what it looks like practically, and how you can start right away and significantly improve your tasting skills. So let's start with the obvious question. What's a sensory scientist? It sounds fancy, but our role is straightforward. We study how people, humans, perceive products they interact with through their five senses: their sight, their hearing, their touch, taste, and smell. We typically work in research and development laboratories, in academia, but most often in the food industry, and we help develop delicious food. So how can a sensory scientist help you develop your palate? Well, when we help develop delicious foods, we work with tasting panels. They are our instrument. We train them to tell us what they experience when they use a product, when they drink it or eat it. And the more precise they are in the descriptions, the more we can understand how to optimize a product to delight consumers and make our recommendations to developers. Yes, you understand well. We train tasters to be discerning, to use precise words that consumers understand, and to be consistent in their descriptions. Isn't it what all eager wine students want to be able to do? So you may ask, why are these practices not taught in traditional wine schools? Well, traditional wine education, the WACT programs, the sommelier guide, they are designed to make you a product expert, a wine expert, someone who understands wine productions, the different grape varieties, the wine regions. They teach you how to manage a cellar, to create a wine list or sell inventory. Traditional wine education is not designed to help you sharpen your tasting skills. They might tell you you need to taste a lot of different wines, but they don't tell you how to taste, how to use your senses, and how to maximize the use of those senses so that you can memorize those differences between all these different wines. So if you want to learn how to improve your tasting skills and learn the sensory science way, stay here, you're in the right place. So what is it like tasting like a sensory scientist? Well, we use standard protocols. Remember, it's a science, and we use quite rigorous methods. And that's one point of differentiation with sommelier-led type of tastings. We sometimes refer to our sensory panelists as our instruments. What it means is that we make sure that they stay as objective as possible when describing wine. Objective human assessment, it sounds like an oxymoron, doesn't it? Well, I dedicated a full podcast episode to that topic, and I will add the link in the description below. But let me go quickly over this concept of taster objectivity. Our scientific methods are rigorous because they are designed to be bias-proof. It's not 100% proof. We are dealing with humans, but we limit as much as possible distractions, and we avoid sharing any information so that tasters only focus on their wine perceptions. I explained some of these biases in a previous video. I showed how evaluating wine appearance first can mislead your whole wine evaluation, and you can find it somewhere here. In fact, the best way to be bias-proof is to conduct all wine tasting blind. Ooh, blind tasting. Well, sommeliers and wine pros have a love-hate relationship with blind tasting. We sensory scientists love it, because in the sensory world, blind tasting ensures objectivity. It's not a guessing game like you see during a sommelier competition. Sensory blind tastings removes all the information that could bias the taster's judgment. We want tasters to focus on the wine, on their wine perceptions. We want to be fair to the wine. We are not judging, we are describing. We are not judging quality, not putting a score. We're just describing our sensory perceptions. And conducting blind tasting like a sensory scientist really frees you from the need to be right, because your perceptions are always right. That's what you learn in sensory science. You're never wrong. What you perceive is what you perceive, but you need to be calibrated first. Because while your perceptions are always right, we need to calibrate our sensory instruments, our panel of tasters, to ensure objectivity. So we make sure that everyone knows the difference between the 5 basic tastes: the sweetness, acidity, saltiness, bitterness, and umami taste. We help tasters become more mindful of what they sense in their everyday life so that they can build their sensory knowledge bank, their repertoire that they can use to describe their perceptions. Because we describe the taste and the smells of wine by association with what we know, with familiar products. So if you asked your wine instructors, how you could develop, your wine vocabulary, your sensory skills, maybe they have advised smelling food ingredients, buying wine aroma kits. But the truth is, after working with so many students, after all these investments, you can still struggle to describe your wine perceptions if you don't follow a structured sensory training program. In sensory training, we use aroma standards to make sure that every tasters, when they call out vanilla, we understand that in the same perception, we all use the same word to describe the same perception. And we use a simple learn and test framework to ensure that panelists learn effectively. That's how we build a shared language. We also teach our panelists good sensory practices. We want our tasters to take care of their senses, especially their sense of smell and taste. They learn good sensory practices like avoiding drinking coffee or wearing perfume or cologne before tasting. And you might, raising your eyes and shrugging your shoulders, but I've seen and I've smelled, such behaviors in professional tasting, and that's why I need to mention the obvious here. But when it comes to tasting, we also want tasters to enjoy the ride. We use rigorous method, but we make the training entertaining, fun, and memorable. So to recap, what does it mean for you to taste wine like a sensory scientist? It means you learn to describe what you actually perceive in the glass, what you smell, what you taste, rather than regurgitating what you memorize should be there. Where would I start learning how to taste wine? Well, whether you want to be a professional or just want to improve your tasting skills to enjoy wine more, you need to shift your way of tasting. You need to shift your way of thinking of wine tasting, from tasting with your brain and using rote memorization to tasting with your senses, your sense of smell, your sense of taste. You need to learn to trust your senses and stop memorizing what every wine on this planet should taste like. You need to become more mindful of what you sense every day in your daily activities. Easier said than done? Well, I have 2 resources for you so you can start right away. The first one is called Unlock Your Senses, the first step to mastering your wine tasting skills. It's a wine sensory tasting guide, including a tasting sheet and a guided audio tasting so you can follow my voice and experience the tasting flow with me. You can download the tasting guide below in the description. If you're ready to experience wine differently and with curiosity, I invite you to join our pre-community, the Curious Palates. I included a 7-day onboarding when you join so that you can start learning about sensory tasting and unlock your senses. You will also find free tutorials, other videos, and you'll be able to connect with me and other members in the discussion forum. so you won't be alone and you will be supported along the way. It's hosted on School, and you can find the link to join below this video. Of course, if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below, and I will do my best to respond, quickly. And if you like this video and want to continue to explore wine tasting with me, a sensory scientist, subscribe to this channel and share it with someone who might enjoy it too. In conclusion, stop guessing, start sensing. I'm Dr. Isabelle Lesschaeve, your wine tasting coach, and I will see you soon. Santé and à bientôt.